They gave me this name tag. Just 5 minutes after the start of his orientation. Sam, who was supposed to be heading to his new job at Matsuo Business Systems, somehow ended up back home. Standing forlornly at the entrance. Clutched in his hand was a name tag, prominently labeled with "middle school graduate" in the center. Indeed, Sam is a middle school graduate. But I know he has worked hard to self-study and earn qualifications to receive a formal job offer as a regular employee. He could never have imagined facing such a situation on his first day, full of eagerness to start his new job. Seeing Sam shedding tears of frustration, betrayed in the worst possible way after all his efforts, I made up my mind. It's unacceptable to treat a new employee like this for such an unfair reason as educational background. I'll make them see hell. After that, I contacted a certain someone. The person was shocked, but that didn't mean they had any intention of retracting their actions. There's no need for mercy towards someone who tramples on others' efforts based solely on academic background. Supported by Sam, what I've gained in this life must surely be for moments like this. My name is Jack, and I'm 50 years old. I'm a single father supporting a family, working at a company while raising my son, Sam. I was married once, but got divorced at the age of 40. The reason for that was because my ex-wife and I had different life plans. While I wanted to keep chasing dreams, she desired a stable life. And I understood her feelings, so I didn't really oppose her. When I asked Sam whom he wanted to follow, he chose to come with me. I like watching Dad do work, so I'm going with Dad. My ex-wife was exasperated, telling me to stop chasing dreams all the time. Indeed, to her, I must have seemed like an unreliable provider with unstable income. Yet, I couldn't give up my dreams and continued to take on challenges while raising Sam. Naturally, balancing work and parenting was tough, and I often burdened Sam. I frequently fell behind on preparing school submissions and rarely managed to attend events. Moreover, occasionally having to cut back on meals likely made Sam, even as a child, aware of our tight household budget. Seeing me troubled, Sam said he'd get a part-time job after middle school to help support the family. Are you sure, if I just worked a regular job, you wouldn't have to do this? Things you'll work out soon, right? I want to support you, Dad, so don't worry about home stuff and keep chasing your dreams. It seems his enjoyment of seeing me at work was genuine. So, he started working and supported us even when my income was unstable. Sam knew that lacking a formal education would put him at a significant disadvantage in job hunting. Yet, he believed in me and bet on my success. Looking back, I think I chose an incredibly thorny path. It's shameful that as a parent, I burdened my son. However, my efforts eventually paid off, and our life is now stable. Sam was very happy when I shared the results with him. Now, Sam has grown up, reaching the age of 22. Though he had no time for further education. Sam managed to get a job on his own as a full-time employee at Matsuo Business Systems. I did it, Dad, I got the job offer, and it's a full-time position. That's amazing, it's all thanks to your hard work, let's celebrate with some barbecue tonight. That day, we went to a restaurant and enjoyed high-quality meat, talking happily about our efforts over the years. Despite the hardships, I'm glad we continued to take on challenges without giving up. During our conversation, we made plans to go shopping for the essentials he'd need for working as a full-time employee. Finally, the day of Sam's orientation arrived. Seeing him in a suit, after all his hard work as a part-timer, made me quite emotional. As a father, I feel inadequate, but I'm happy to see him grow up to this point. Sam is proud to have made it to full-time employment. I'm off then. Yeah, take care and try not to be too nervous. I know. With that, he heads off to his new job. He's already bought a commuter pass for the daily train rides. And a high-quality suit that will last a long time. After seeing him head off to work, I turn to my computer in my room. Nowadays, I mostly work from home. My work primarily involves management, so there's no need for me to be on site. Of course, if there's a major issue, I'd have to go to the office and lead from the front, but such situations are rare. Typically, the department heads handle things, and their reports come to me. Let's see if there are any new messages. While checking my emails, I wonder what kind of experiences Sam will have at his new job as a full-time employee. At this moment, I had no idea that an unforgettable event would occur at his important orientation. His orientation was about to begin. Even as I work on my computer, I glance at the clock, wondering if Sam is doing all right. I hope he finds some colleagues he clicks with, but that's up to luck, so there's not much I can say. I want his entrance into his company to go smoothly. As I work with these thoughts, I suddenly hear the door to our house open. Sam and I are the only ones to enter and leave our house. So it must be Sam coming in, but what could have happened for him to return so soon? When I looked, there, at the entrance, stood Sam. Sam. He was supposed to be at Matsuo Business Systems orientation right now. Why did Sam come back home just about 5 minutes after it started? Surprised, I hurriedly approach him and ask. What happened, Sam? Today was supposed to be your orientation, wasn't it? All I had was this name tag. He spoke with evident frustration. In his hand was a name tag, simply inscribed with middle school graduate. Seeing those words, my eyes widened. Looking at Sam, who seemed on the verge of tears, I said sternly. Is this what they gave you? Yeah. Who did? Someone from HR. This guy named Manager White. Sam nodded as he answered. He was supposed to start working today at Matsuo Business Systems. It appears that a manager in HR named White handed him this ridiculous name tag. While other new employees entered the venue with enthusiasm. Only Sam was given this name tag by White, accompanied by laughter. Thinking about how Sam must have felt at that moment makes me unbearably angry. I said, with a deep frown, what was this White thinking? Even as a joke, this is going too far, squarely in the realm of harassment. I've had dealings with Matsuo Business Systems before. And while those transactions went smoothly, it seems that inside the company, horrendous harassment based on educational background is rampant. Sam was delighted to have been hired by this company. Despite only having a middle school education, which he felt insecure about. He worked hard at part-time jobs, earned qualifications, honed his skills, and somehow secured a formal job offer as a full-time employee. To be treated this way just because he's a middle school graduate is unacceptable. Dad, after all the hard work I've put in. It seems the injustice of having his efforts trampled on by the employees for such an unfair reason brought Sam to tears. He really did put in a lot of effort to overcome his middle school education and secure a formal job offer as a full-time employee. Should his will be so easily trampled upon? I tremble with anger at his new company's harassment. It's okay, Sam. Dad. It's unacceptable to treat a new employee like this for such an unfair reason as educational background. I'll make them regret it. After that, I make a call to a certain place. The person on the other end is shocked, but that doesn't mean they have any intention of backing down. What I've gained in this life, supported by Sam, must surely be for moments like this. There's no need for mercy towards those who trample on others' efforts just because of their educational background. I decided to let Matsuo Business Systems know exactly what they had done, with everything I've got. What do you mean, suddenly cutting off business like this? That was White from Matsuo Business Systems, shouting as soon as he arrived at our company's entrance. It seemed he rushed over after receiving my call, his tie askew and his suit disheveled, having had no time to tidy himself up. Normally, a sales department rep might respond to a summons from another company, but I specifically asked for him to come. Wanting to speak with him urgently, I was waiting for White at the company's entrance. Sam had told me it was White who had handed him that name tag. So, he must know about this matter. President Jack. Even if you suddenly say such things, we can't just accept them. Our business relies on the profits from our dealings with you. Do you think you can just unilaterally cut off our business dealings like that? Actually, I am the president of Smith Data, which has grown to be a company with several subsidiaries. With the support of Sam. A significant part of Matsuo Business Systems' profits comes from doing business with us. If we stop dealing with them now, their business will quickly falter. That's probably why they desperately don't want to cut ties with us. But just because we've done business before doesn't mean I'll show mercy now. I called you here after cutting off our business dealings because I wanted to ask you about something, White. My overt anger made White shrink back in fear. I then showed him the name tag in question. Do you recognize this name tag? That is. Seeing the name tag prominently labeled middle school graduate, White's face turned pale. The reception staff too, upon seeing the ridiculous name tag, started murmuring among themselves. After a moment of his gaze swimming around, White hesitantly asked me. Where did you get this name tag? The person you handed this name tag to, Sam, is my son. President Jack's son. Hearing the revealed truth, White was at a loss for words. He probably never imagined that the person he casually mocked was the son of a major business partner's president. That's a lie, right, to think that the president's son is a middle school graduate. If he wasn't my son, why would I have this name tag with my surname on it? Don't you think it's the same? Harassing the president's son is a big problem. The unexpected revelation left White flustered as he said. Wait, please, we didn't know about this. If we had known he was your son. That doesn't matter, a company that treats someone this way just because they're a middle school graduate, regardless of their status, cannot be trusted. We will refuse all future dealings. Smith Data has many subsidiaries and plenty of options for business partners. So, cutting off dealings with Matsuo Business Systems is no problem at all. However, White, not wanting to lose future business, was desperate. Please reconsider. If we lose business with Smith Data, then you shouldn't have engaged in harassment and compromised trust. That's all I wanted to tell you today. Goodbye. With that, I left the entrance. The impact on Matsuo Business Systems management if Smith Data cuts off dealings is easily predictable. That's exactly why I unilaterally declared we would end our business relationship. After I left, White was desperately trying to speak with the president to the reception staff. But, eventually realizing I wouldn't come out, he seemed to give up and left. The night we cut off the deal, I was talking to Sam over dinner. Though I had retaliated, Sam's spirits still seemed down. It's hard to come to terms with such treatment right away. He needs some time to rest. Sorry, Dad, I was looking forward to working as a full-time employee, but I never expected something like this to happen. It's okay, if I had known about their company culture, would have stopped you. I had not anticipated that his enthusiasm for finally working as a full-time employee would be so abruptly dampened in such a manner. You wouldn't know about Matsuo Business Systems' excessive faith in academic qualifications just by doing business with them. It's possible that the prejudice towards academic background might just be White's alone. However, considering no one stopped his tyranny, I have to assume it's a terrible environment. It might have been somewhat good to learn this before joining, but it's undeniable that it significantly undercut his enthusiasm. Sam sighed heavily and said, "What should I do now? Even if I start job hunting again, who knows when I'll be able to join a company? Finding a new place to work, especially during this time when new graduates are starting their jobs, will be challenging. There might be options if we're not choosy, but finding a decent company could prove difficult. Matsuo Business Systems really did us an unnecessary disservice. Yet, as a president known within the industry, I can easily arrange for job connections if that's what Sam wishes. He's the reason I've been able to grow my company to this extent. So I'm more than willing to lend him as much support as he desires. If you're up for it, how about working at one of our subsidiaries? Of course, you'll have to go through an interview and exams, but with your abilities, that shouldn't be a problem. Smith Data owns several subsidiaries. Working at the main office might draw too much attention, but a subsidiary would likely offer a more relaxed environment. As long as I don't interfere excessively, it should be possible to keep Sam's identity hidden." At that offer, Sam looked up, seemingly beyond hopeful. "Really? I know your capabilities and your diligent work ethic. That's why I want you in my company. Of course, if you're concerned about the employees' gaze at a subsidiary of Smith Data, you're free to look for another company." Originally, Sam chose another company because he was concerned about being scrutinized by other employees, and wanted to utilize his abilities in a legitimate manner. So, he might still wish to find employment at another company, even if it takes some time. Wondering what decision he would make, Sam thought for a moment before saying, "No, I'm happy, thank you. Should I choose the company myself, or is there a specific company you'd like me to join?" "No, you choose where you'd like to go. After we finish eating, I'll send you the recruitment data, and you can take your time to decide." "Okay, Dad, I wish I could be more helpful." Sam said, looking apologetic. On the contrary, you've been helping me all along. Don't worry about it too much, think of this as a way of repaying you, and choose whatever works best for you. I've caused a lot of trouble for Sam in running my company. Had I worked a regular job, our lives might have been more stable, and perhaps I wouldn't have divorced his mother. I've always burdened Sam, but now I can finally repay him. His support has allowed me to achieve my position, and I can finally use it for Sam's benefit. Sam's job hunting progressed smoothly after that. Despite his middle school education surprising the hiring managers, his skills and qualifications were more than sufficient. Eventually, he got a job at Smith Data Services, one of Smith Data's subsidiaries. Sam greeted the president of Smith Data Services. Looking forward to working with you, Sam. As per your wish, we've kept your identity hidden, so don't expect any special treatment. Just try your best to get along with the other employees. Thank you very much, I'm really happy to be employed as a full-time employee, I'll do my best. The only person aware that he is my son is the president of Smith Data Services. He joined the company as a mid-career hire under these circumstances. Other employees were surprised by how he joined the company. But his inherent skills, earnest attitude, and approachability seemed to have allowed him to fit in well. Sam, I need to consult you on this matter. Just a moment, please, it looks manageable. Sorry, Sam, what do you think we should do about this? Well, in my personal opinion. About a month in, it seems he's become quite relied upon by his colleagues. Hearing from the president that Sam has fully integrated made me relieved. Of course, Smith Data Services doesn't harbor any prejudices regarding educational background. Sam was worried he might face similar discrimination at this company, but those fears were unfounded. And just like that, time flew by, and it's been 3 months since Sam joined Smith Data Services. As the CEO, I was at Smith Data Services on business. There, I encountered someone unexpected. White. It's you. White was in the office. He seemed to be talking with an employee of Smith Data Services. Encountering someone I never wanted to see again, I furrowed my brows. What are you doing here? Does my company owe you something? President Jack, I apologize, what brings you here? This is a subsidiary of Smith Data, which I run, is there something strange about me being here? No, not at all, he answered, clearly unsettled by our meeting. I suspected he had something he wanted to hide from me. I decided to press him about his reasons for being here. More importantly, why are you at this company? That is. Smith Data Services never had dealings with Matsuo Business Systems. Moreover, White is the HR department head, so there's no reason for him to be at another company's site. While it's possible for a salesperson to make a cold call, it's still odd for him to be here, no matter how you look at it. He was sweating under my scrutiny. Since he stubbornly refused to answer, I turned to the employee he was talking with. What did he come here for? Mr. White came to our company for sales, saying he wanted to expand new business dealings. Don't tell him that. White raised his voice, reprimanding the employee. He had caused a scandal that led to Smith Data cutting off dealings with him. Yet, undeterred, he tried to make dealings with Smith Data Services, a subsidiary, without wanting me to know. And now that he's been found out, he started ranting as if there was no need to hide anymore. Oh, this is the pits. Since Smith Data cut off dealings with Matsuo Business Systems, we've been making no profit at all. Our employees are quitting one after another. Because they say this company has no future, and other companies are cutting off dealings with us too. That's why I came to expand business dealings, what's so wrong with that? In fact, I had spoken to other companies in the industry about the culture at Matsuo Business Systems. They discriminated based on education and harassed new employees in an unreasonable manner. Hearing this, some companies felt they needed to reconsider their dealings with them. And so, being cut off by many companies one after another seems to have added to the desperate situation Matsuo Business Systems was already in. So, you came to our subsidiary, Smith Data Services, in a last-ditch effort to make sales, huh? White is from HR, but it seems their dire situation has made it so that no one cares about role division anymore. They had to find new clients anywhere possible, or they'd surely face bankruptcy. That's why he, despite being from HR, came here on a sales visit. Damn, taking advantage of the situation, you know whose fault this originally is, right? Do you know the phrase, you reap what you sow? If you hadn't engaged in such unfair harassment, none of this would have happened. Seeing his unabashed demeanor, I sighed. Indeed, educational background is one criterion for societal evaluation. But that's no reason for harassment. Above all, treating enthusiastic new employees with such disdain is the real problem. In building my company, I've learned many things, including the importance of valuing employees. Education doesn't necessarily determine someone's worth. It's inevitable that a company that mocks and toys with its employees like you have would head towards bankruptcy. Just give it up. Damn it, just because you're the president doesn't mean you can get cocky. However, he seemed unconvinced. It was as if he couldn't understand why mocking a middle school graduate new employee should result in such consequences. But it was clear his thinking was completely wrong, as evidenced by Matsuo Business Systems being cut off by various clients. Refusing to admit his mistakes, White began to rant angrily. After all, you're too biased towards your family. Just because your son couldn't join us, you resort to company-wide harassment. Bringing personal issues into business is shameful for a president. I didn't bring personal issues into this, I simply can't place my trust in a company that treats new employees with such disrespect. It's a hassle to reconsider our dealings after another scandal, don't twist my words. I sternly told White, who tried to deflect. While I must admit there's a bit of personal feeling, my lack of trust in them is a fact. In the past, such harassment might have been hidden. But now, if you mistreat new employees or give them ridiculous name tags, it spreads instantly through social media. An arrogant attitude towards employees can suddenly turn into a social issue. Considering the risks, dealing with them is dangerous. Is this conversation over? Smith Data Services isn't desperate for partners to the point where we'd agree to any terms you propose, so please leave. Wait, then let me offer your son a position in our company, isn't that what you wanted? To still say such things at this point. Yes, I was angry about the issue with Sam not being hired, but that's not the main problem. Bringing him on board now doesn't resolve anything. It seems unwise to deal with someone who doesn't understand this. If he's still unwilling to leave, I was ready to call the police to have him removed, when Sam intervened. It's okay, Dad. You are. Sam. Seeing Sam, White was shocked. He must not have expected Sam to be at Smith Data Services. Mr. White, could you please leave? Everyone's busy with work, and we don't have time to deal with someone as unreasonable as you. Why are you even here? Did this company actually hire a middle school graduate? That's correct, Smith Data Services hired me based on my abilities. As Sam explained the situation, White snorted in disdain. Ha, what a lack of judgment, hiring an incompetent middle school graduate, this company's doomed, you'll regret it soon enough. He continued to mock Sam. Showing his unchanged prejudice towards educational backgrounds. Does he even understand what his actions have led to, with deal after deal being cut off? Honestly, a middle school dropout. Please don't say such things when you know nothing. Before I could respond again, one of the employees who had been listening to our conversation with White spoke up. Clearly angered by White's disdain for people based on their education. Thanks to Mr. Sam coming here, our work has been going smoothly. We've been so helped by Mr. Sam, his arrival has been a relief. Employees began to speak up one after another, appealing to White. I had only heard from Sam that things were going well. But now, 3 months into his employment, he seems to have earned considerable trust from his colleagues. So much so that they were indignant about the baseless accusations White made. What, he's just a middle school graduate, how could he possibly contribute to the company? He's not incompetent. Sam is really dedicated to his work and has amazing knowledge, being a middle school graduate doesn't matter. This is. Hearing the employee's high regard, White's lips trembled. Then, he began to say something unbelievable. Hey, Sam, how about coming to work for us now? At this point, White seemed to finally realize he had driven away an incredibly talented individual. I'll talk to the president about your treatment, we can offer a higher salary than this company, how about it? Perhaps he thought that with Sam, they could somehow save their floundering company. Indeed, with Sam, there might be a chance to salvage Matsuo Business Systems from its predicament. No matter how much they offered, the answer to that solicitation was already clear. "What are you even saying now?" Sam coldly responded to White's words, his voice laden with deep resentment, causing White to involuntarily step back. "You do realize what you've done to me, right? That is, well, change your way of thinking. It's not like I was trying to drive you out. You never intended to hire me in the first place, did you? Stop making things up." White's excuses were pathetic. But it was clear to anyone that he had prepared the derogatory name tag for Sam with harassment in mind. Giving him a name tag labeling him as a middle school graduate subjected him to unbearable humiliation. Though not reported, it was outright harassment. There's no way he would return to such a company, no matter how much money was offered. Sam mercilessly said to a flustered White. "If you're willing to wear a name tag that says, incompetent, then I might consider it. Why don't you try changing your perspective? Doing that might allow you to scout me." At that moment, White must have realized for the first time how humiliating it is to be given a ridiculous name tag. Even with the chance to secure a valuable talent like Sam, he wouldn't say he'd wear the name tag. Seeing his reaction, Sam said with a look of disdain. "It's a shame, isn't it? If you had hired me back then, your company might not have been on the brink of collapse." Surely, if Sam had been employed at that time, Matsuo Business Systems would be seeing much more profit by now. But because they ridiculed him for being a middle school graduate, they drove him away. Now, they faced the anger and resentment of many, nearly leading to their downfall. Yet White seems unwilling to admit this. "You're just riding on your parents' coattails. Listen, it's not because you're competent, it's just because your dad's the president that you're being coddled. Just you wait, the employees will." Enough. Seeing White start to rant out of spite, I raised my voice. My anger made White flinch and back down. "You might not know this, but Sam has worked harder than anyone else. He supported our unstable life by working right after middle school and earned his position as a full-time employee on his own. He was genuinely happy about it, and you trampled on his efforts in the worst possible way. Do you understand that, Dad?" Sam looked at me, somewhat surprised by my fervent tone. No matter who tries to stop me, I can't hold back my anger towards him anymore. "You have no right to look down on Sam's efforts. Never show your face to us again." Damn it. Unable to endure my anger, White fled. Eventually, Matsuo Business Systems went bankrupt. By the time of their bankruptcy, there were hardly any clients or employees left, and the company faded away as if it had never existed. White attempted to find another job. But the bad reputation of giving a new employee a name tag labeled middle school graduate spread, and no one would hire him. No company wanted to deal with someone known for such harassment. So, he ended up unable to find a job and started working as a part-time worker. Now getting scolded by a middle school graduate leader and bowing to demanding customers in a restaurant. Due to the confrontation with White, it became known among Smith Data Services employees that Sam was my son. However, he was already admired for his competence and beloved by his colleagues. So their treatment or perception of him didn't change afterward. "I've always relied on you," I admitted. I had put a significant burden on Sam, relying on him entirely until the company was on steady footing. Despite the pressure, I couldn't be more grateful to Sam for supporting me so that I could focus on my work. "I liked seeing you as a president, Dad. I always thought I'd help out in any way I could. But are you really okay with it? Going to high school or college might have been easier. If it wasn't just my wife but also you telling me to work, I think I would have ended up just working as a company employee." Maybe, but if I had gone to high school or college, I probably wouldn't have seen you as you are now. Despite everything, I'm satisfied with how things turned out, so, I hope you'll continue to be the cool dad." Hearing Sam's words, I couldn't help but smile sheepishly. After all we've been through, it's good to know I've managed to repay him for his support. I want to use the position and wealth I've gained, thanks to him, to continue supporting him. And in these stable days we've finally obtained, I look forward to spending enjoyable times with him.